only at night.
On June 23, 1985, the body of a 22-year-old woman had been found off of Sunrise Highway near Mount Laguna, California. She was left nude, beaten, and strangled, with gravel stuffed down her throat. The medical examiner would soon find out that the young 22-year-old woman was a known prostitute from the San Diego area. Her name was Donna Gentile. 5 weeks prior, she had been implicated in a case involving 2 San Diego police officers in a prostitution scandal involving herself. The police officers were Officer Larry Averick and Lieutenant Carl Black. Officer Larry Averick explained that he had been allegedly conducting his own investigation into the prostitution ring going on in San Diego. Averick explained further that he had gotten information not specified by where, but could have been from other known sources working closely for the police department, that a lieutenant had taken a known prostitute to the Colorado River with the intent of hooking the prostitute up with another known sergeant from the San Diego Police Department.
Averick, fired from the police department in January, was trying to get his job back.
He was fired because he provided a known prostitute with inappropriate information about what police activities were going to be taking place along El Cajon Boulevard in regard to prostitution.
For what purpose?
For the purpose of keeping her from being arrested by undercover operations.
Gentile claimed Averick also had sex with her, but that could not be substantiated. Averick says he was using Gentile to obtain information about misconduct on the part of his superior officer, Lieutenant Carl Black.
I had information that I had received from a known prostitute involving higher-ups on the police department that a lieutenant had taken a known prostitute to the Colorado River and paid her $500 on 2 occasions and set that prostitute up with another sergeant from the police department.
Black was subsequently demoted to sergeant. His case is also on appeal.
Larry Averick was later fired from the police department when former prostitute and murder victim Donna Gentile testified against Officer Larry Averick, claiming that Averick had been paying her for sex, while on other occasions they would meet up at Gentile's apartment with the intent of having secret rendezvous with one another. Averick claims that once he decided to confront Gentile with his findings of what was going on between her and other police officers, he threatened to report her to the police department. He allegedly continues on to say that once he confronted her and threatened to report her, Gentile got upset and later retaliated by threatening to tell the police department that Averick had been harassing her while continuing to pay her for sex. When Gentile told the police department what was going on, both Averick and Black were fired, and Gentile was quickly forced to testify against the other police officers involved. Black later appealed his conviction and was ultimately reinstated back into the department while being transferred elsewhere. It was said that Gentile was ultimately put on payroll for acting as a police corruption informant. Many speculate and believe that Averick may have had something to do with Gentile's murder, since Gentile centered her allegations mainly on Averick. 2 months before Gentile was killed, she wrote a letter to her brother from prison claiming that her life was in danger and that she was afraid for her life. She further went into detail claiming that she was safer staying in prison. At the time of Gentile's murder, the toxicology report claimed to have found cocaine and DNA samples found on 3 separate areas of Gentile's body. Investigators further go into detail saying that since Gentile was a prostitute, DNA samples found on her body cannot guarantee who the perpetrator was. She could have slept with someone else prior to her murder. There is also speculation leading to Madame Rolodex's involvement. Madame Rolodex, also known as Karen Wilkening, was at the time a known escort service supplier who purchased her own escort service back in 1981. She held a clientele list, also known as a little black book, filled with clients willing to spend large sums of money in exchange to sleeping with her escorts. She was ultimately caught and arrested when her clientele list was seized by police at her escort service headquarters. Wilkening's escort service had been implicated in Donna Gentile's murder investigation when authorities found out that on the night of June 21, 1985, when Gentile went missing, she attended a private party that included other prostitutes hired by Wilkening. The party had been organized by wealthy businessman Don Dixon. Don Dixon was also on Wilkening's clientele list. Things got even more bizarre when nude photos of Donna Gentile were found 2 days after she went missing at another location not associated with the case. Several years later, Averick would write a book about the Gentile case, further claiming his innocence while reporting on his own speculations as to who could have killed the 22-year-old prostitute. Averick believed that a serial rapist and murderer by the name of Ronald Porter was the prime suspect in Gentile's death. Ronald Porter was a convicted serial rapist and murderer who was known for picking up young female hitchhikers, raping them, and ultimately murdering them, or at least attempting to kill them. His killing spree started on the same year of Gentile's death in 1985 and ended in 1988, when he was later picked up and arrested by police. Ronald Porter would pick up young hitchhiking women near El Cajon Boulevard in San Diego, California, around the same area where Donna Gentile and other young female prostitutes hung around while trying to find new clients. Ronald Porter would pick up young petite hitchhikers off of Interstate 8, then would later kill them, leaving their bodies a few miles east off of Interstate 8, not too far from where Donna Gentile's body was found. Semen and saliva DNA had been found in Donna Gentile's body. Investigators further claimed that they are confident in knowing that Ronald Porter's DNA had already been checked off and compared with the DNA samples found on Gentile's body. Although there is a strong possibility that Porter's DNA was written off from what was found on Gentile, there is no way of knowing exactly what was found or confirmed to be true, since Gentile's autopsy report is still sealed to the public to this day. Her autopsy report is the first in San Diego history to be classified as confidential. If you have any information on the murder of Donna Gentile, please call the San Diego Police Department at 619-531-2000. That's 619-531-2000. You can remain anonymous.